Hello everybody, welcome back. So glad you could make it. If you're new here, my name is Renata. This little guy is Bertie. Somewhere behind the camera is my cat Dora. Well, Dora the Explorer, but maybe that doesn't fly with copyright, but that's just the name I gave my cat. I guess we're gonna have a visitor for a little while I talk to you. So this is my houseplanty channel where I like to show off my houseplant collection and talk about how I care for it, what's been working for me, what hasn't been working for me. And in that vein, today's video is going to be a follow-up on my penultimate video. So not the last video I released, but the second to last video I released, where I talked about how my collection looked after being away for 3 weeks and having no one come care for it while I was away. But so I went around and showed some of the plants that seemed to be suffering a little bit and some of the plants that surprised me, but they were looking okay. So today I just wanted to do a follow-up mostly on the plants that were suffering a little to show you how well they're rehabbing or how I'm rehabbing them, or if those were total losses. And then a couple other, ooh, sorry. He's pressing down on my knee that's pressing down on the crossbar of my coffee table, and that was not pleasant. The other thing I wanted to show you were a couple of the plants that I had thought were looking okay after a couple of weeks of me being home and having the heat back on and being watered again. They started to show some more damage, some more signs of damage. So I'm gonna put this one aside because he's really hurting my hips and my knee, because sitting cross-legged with a puppy pushing down on your hip that's got very tight hip flexors is not the most pleasant thing you could do, nor having him push your knee down, that same leg, your knee down into the crossbar of the coffee table. None of it's very fun. And then we're gonna get to talking about the plants. So let me just put this guy aside and I'll be right back. All right, I am back. The puppy is actually just sitting, oh no, he's right behind me up there on the back of the sofa, that kind of brownish colored lump on top of the pink blanket. So hopefully he'll just stay there calmly for the rest of this video. The first plant I wanted to talk to you about is the first plant that was showing some evidence of struggling a little while I was away, and that was my Begonia Black Magic. So I'm going to show you what it looks like currently, and then I'm going to try to insert some clips of what it was looking like in my previous video, just to remind you what it was looking like, so you can see whether it is rehabbing and how well it's rehabbing. So this is what the Begonia Black Magic looks like now. It had been taller before, but it's got some nice growth on it. So there we have some nice new leaves there. We've got a new growth point here that's putting out leaves. But you can see here I had to prune it back. Oh, and there's another little growth point there, right below where I pruned it back. And then this branch also, I had to prune it back, and it's got a growth point coming in. And then this branch is the only one that I didn't prune back, and it's still doing pretty well. Actually, it looks, whoop, minus flopping forward, it looks pretty great. So yeah, right now this plant seems to be recovering pretty well. I'm pretty happy about it. If you recall, in the previous video, it had a lot of crispy dry leaves everywhere where I pruned it back, and it had really dried out quite a lot, so it was not looking the hottest. and I had said I would prune it back just to where it looked like there was still some healthy growth. And so that is what I did. I pruned it back to where I saw healthy growth. But yeah, it had had a lot of dry, crispy leaves on it. So anyway, this is what the Begonia Black Magic is looking like now. I hope that it will fill in a little bit more. Maybe we can get a few more growth points down lower on the stem. It looks like we might, so if I'm lucky and take good care of it, hopefully we can be successful with that. So yeah. But I wasn't surprised. I wasn't surprised that the begonias didn't look good when I got back after not watering them for 3 weeks. They tend to be some of my most fragile, both thirsty and fragile plants. The next plant is the large begonia, whose name I still haven't looked up. I still can't remember what it was. But let me show you what it's looking like now. So currently, it doesn't look like much. I'm not gonna lie. Kinda looks pretty unimpressive. I'm just pulling out some of the mess of stuff that's not doing anything down here. Yeah. But it does have a new growth point here, and it looks like it will give me some nice big leaves, and then it's got another new growth point there. And I'm not sure if I'll be able to show you, but just in there, yeah, just in there, that little red thing that you can see is a third growth point. So I think, oh, and apparently I just broke off a fourth growth point. So just right there. So there's one red thing in there, and then there's another growth point here. So I have 3 or 4 new growth points all together on this begonia. So I think we're gonna be okay. It's just a little slower to make a comeback than the Black Magic begonia. If you recall, when I got back from being on vacation, the begonia was a lot taller, but it had a lot of dry, crispy leaves. All of the leaves on it had gone dry and crispy. The only thing I could do was to remove them, and then it kind of lost some pieces of stem also. So it seems shorter now. But that's okay. Like I said, it's gonna just take a little while to show the same kind of growth progress as the Black Magic, but it will come back. And yeah, like I said, I just pruned it back. Well, I just let it die back and started watering it again, and it will survive, and it will be fine and thrive. It will thrive, and it will look better. It may just take a little while, but yeah. So there it is. There's the large begonia. I'm quite happy with that new growth, even though it doesn't look like much now. But I'm happy that it's got it, and it will come back. So, yeah. All right, after those 2 begonia, I have a plant that may be a total loss. I'm still hoping it's not, but I don't have any evidence to suggest that it's not. And that is the cat whisker Maranta. So this is what it's currently looking like. And actually, if you look inside here, you see there's a lot of white fuzzy stuff. So that's all mold. That's all mold growing on what had been the Maranta plant itself, which is what makes me think that this is a total loss. I haven't yet started looking around on the internet for replacement plants, but it's definitely a Maranta I want to replace. I don't want to not have it in my collection. So yeah, if you remember when I got home it was just all dried out and looked really sad. And what I said was I was going to just prune back all the dead growth and see if maybe something grew out of the roots that are still holding. So that's what I did. And then I had said I would probably stick a plastic bag over it and create its own little humidity tent. But what I ended up doing was sticking it in my cabinet. It's the same effect. It creates a humidity dome. And it started molding on me. So I don't know what I'm gonna do, but that's part of what makes me think this plant is a total loss, is that with the mold growing, I don't know. But I'm still gonna hold on. I'm just gonna keep it in my cabinet, keep it moist. Not wet, but keep it moist and see what happens. And when the weather gets a little warmer, I'll start looking for a replacement cat whisker Maranta if I don't see any evidence of growth from this one. So yeah, sad days. I was really excited about this plant too. This is probably the biggest loss to me. And I thought the begonias were gonna be the actual loss. But this, for me, is probably my biggest loss and my saddest loss. So let's move on to something more exciting then, huh? So after the cat whisker Maranta, we have my regular Maranta, which was looking pretty good. It just had a few dried out leaves on it. It just needed rewatering. And I did rewater it, and it was looking much better. And then 2 days ago, I was looking at it, and I found mealybugs on it. And just before I went away, I had treated mealybugs on it. And I suspect I'm gonna be treating mealybugs on it for a little while. But otherwise it's looking pretty good. And I'm pretty happy with it. So, yeah, like I said in my previous video, it was looking pretty good too. And then when I rotated it, you could see that there were some dried up leaves and some curled leaves. Having pruned back the dried up leaves and having rewatered it, I guess I have one more dried up leaf I can remove. But otherwise it's a pretty happy plant. I am gonna repot it soon because it has a couple of, like it has just here, this is new growth, but it's not even in the soil, it's just here attached on this, coming down from a root and growing back out. So I think I'm gonna repot this plant soon, but I'm gonna try to make sure that the mealies are all gone before I do anything else with it. But yeah, so that's the Maranta. I'm pretty happy. It's really not suffered too much. Like I said, it just needed a little care and it sprang back, and it's a happy little plant now, minus the mealybugs. But that had nothing to do with me going away. They were there before I left, and they would have been there whether I had been here to take care of the plants or not. The next, we have our third Maranta. So 3 out of 4 Marantas looked a little bit sad after I got back. Well, one of them looked really sad. So my silver band Maranta was just looking like it needed watering desperately. And I watered it and I didn't see much result. I watered it again and I still didn't see much result. And then I finally took it off. It had been hanging in my kitchen before. I finally took it off and just put the pot in put the flower pot in a bowl of water and let it soak water up that way. So basically bottom watering, but bottom watering to saturation to really re-moisten all the soil. And it's finally looking like a perky Maranta again. And I have moved where I had it. I needed that space in the kitchen where it was hanging. It was actually just really bothering me in the kitchen. So I've moved it to a new place. I hope it'll be happy there. It should get better light than it was getting in the kitchen. Even though in the kitchen it was getting natural light, it was further from the window and it was not getting many hours of daylight. Whereas now in its new space, it has a grow light over it. Not directly over it, but it gets light from a grow light. It should be happier there, I think. So yeah, this is the silver band Maranta, looking quite content now that it's been re-moistened. So there we go. What else do I want to show you? I have a couple other plants to show you. Let's talk about some other plants that are looking a little bit sad, and then we'll end on a high note. So a plant that was looking sad in the video and is still looking sad is this Aglaonema. You'll have to believe me that it's an Aglaonema. It's the red stripe Aglaonema. I showed it in the video of my early winter, late fall plant hauls. Sorry, my hip is bothering me. Yeah, I showed it in the video of early winter, late fall plant hauls and talked a little bit about how it had some Bertie had some catastrophic interactions with it. And then it looked really bad when I got back and all the leaves have just dried off of it. And I was going to call it a goner, but I pulled up one of the stems and there was a new growth point under the soil that hadn't yet emerged. So I put it back. There's still some roots on that. I put it back in the soil. The other one I didn't even try to pull out. I'm just hoping that there are some growth points. So I'm going to give it a couple of months to try to show some progress. But if I don't see this, it's not a great loss. It's not like it was some kind of really rare or special Aglaonema or something that I really can't get anywhere else or anything. It's highly replaceable, and I don't know that I need 4 Aglaonemas in my collection, and I don't know that I love pink Aglaonemas. I just thought I would give it a try because it looked pretty in the pictures online, but I'm not sure that it's one I really love anyway. So yeah, there we go. Red stripe Aglaonema had been looking pretty sad when I got home, and it's looking even more sad now, but I'm not giving up on it. And then I have 2 alocasias that were actually hidden by the begonias and some of my larger alocasias, and so I kind of forgot to show them to you in that previous video, but neither of them is looking very good. Neither of them was looking very good, but I think both of them will survive. It's just, it's going to take a little while to see whether they will survive or not. So they're both all the way back down to corms. So the first one is my Antoro Black Velvet Alocasia, and it's just down to corm, but it does have some new growth coming in at the top of the corm. So I've moved it from where it had been into my cabinet, and I hope that that will make it happy and encourage it to grow a little more quickly. And I'm wondering if it does grow back, that'll be great. And if it doesn't, it'll be the second time I'll have tried with an Antoro Black Velvet, and maybe I'll just hold off on trying with them for a little while. And then I also have an Alocasia sinuensis that's all the way back down to corms. You barely can even see it with the semi-hydro. But see, there's the corm, and it doesn't yet show any new growth. But I think if you look really carefully there, it may be about to show some new growth there. I hope. So yeah, the Alocasia sinuensis was already cycling a lot before I left, and it just couldn't take, it's a small container, and it couldn't take getting, after all the water evaporated out of it, couldn't take getting so dried out. But I hope the corm is fine, and I hope the corm will regrow for me. We'll see. What else do I need to show you that's over here? Another plant that's making me really sad, but I'm not sure that it was actually related to me going away. And it may be related to something after I got back. I don't really know. But this is my Musa Florida variegata, so my variegated banana plant. Banana tree, I should say. And it had been looking great when I got back. It was, all the leaves were perky, it was green and white variegated. The new growth was looking great, although it was all white, and that was a little bit worrisome because it doesn't have any green, so it doesn't have any chlorophyll, so it wouldn't be able to create energy from that new leaf. But the new leaf is browned off. All these other leaves have browned off. I don't know what's going on with this plant. I thought maybe it was just too dry, so I put it in my cabinet. It hasn't seemed to like that. It still has roots holding it in place. When I pull on it, it's rooted into the semi-hydro, so I don't know. I'm keeping it in the cabinet and keeping an eye on it, but I'm afraid it's a goner. And again, this is one that probably in the spring when the weather is warmer, not below freezing, the way it's been for the last, since I got home basically, I will, I'm just pulling off the brown leaves. But yeah, I might try to find another one. If I can find one that's a little more mature and not too expensive. This one was a tissue culture plant that came in very small. But I know it wasn't the tissue culture that caused the problems. Look how sad it looks now with all the leaves pulled off of it. Anyway, this is probably another goner, but I'll have to see. I'll give it some more time. So now I have two more plants that are not looking the hottest, but are not goners. They just need a little bit of rehab work. And the first is my Epipremnum Cebu Blue. And when in my previous video, I had said, oh, the Cebu Blue has like one yellow leaf on it, but it's looking pretty good otherwise. Look at it now. So I don't know how many yellow leaves I've removed from it. There's another one. But this whole stem here is bare. Till the very bottom, there are 2 leaves. And it does have a new leaf coming in. So it's not like it's dead or anything. I think what I'm gonna do is probably just chop it back, because this is rooted, prune it back, and then just try to root multiple sections of this so that I can eventually repot them and have a nice big bushy plant. And I'll probably do the same, even though on this side I haven't lost as many leaves. The bare vine isn't as long. I'll probably do the same thing on this side, just so that I can have a slightly fuller, bushier plant. And it's just gonna have been, I got this plant in May, there's 2 single leaf cuttings. It had grown this much and I was happy about that. I don't know, a lot of people say Cebu Blues are easy. For me, me and the Cebu Blue were not getting along that well. I'd had it in an east facing window and it was really happy, except that then it started to get too bleached by the sun, so I moved it away from the sun. But I think it's, I don't know, maybe this container was too small or something. I can't tell you why this plant is not happy and growing larger leaves or more quickly, but I'm going to try again. All is not lost with this plant. It just needs a little bit of TLC. And the last one that just needs a little bit of TLC and all is not lost, but all is not looking as well as it was in the video I showed you, is this Syngonium. I think it's the Syngonium Wendlandii. I don't remember. It's the one that has the white stripe down the middle of the leaves that I think is really striking. I really like it. It's more attractive in real life than on the video, I promise you. And you might think like it's not looking that bad, but it has had a lot of yellowing leaves. I've pulled a lot of dead leaves off of it. And some of the leaves are really small. Like this leaf is huge. This leaf looks great. But a lot of the leaves down here, down the vine, are small and kind of meh. So I think I might prune it back, try to figure out which vines are growing well, which ones aren't, and just prune it back some to try to get it to put out new growth. And this is one that I think I will try to not let dry out again, because it obviously responds very quickly to drying out. But it's got tons of growth points on it. I don't know if you can see on the stem. There's that growth point there. There's a tiny little, there's a tiny little one there. There are a couple of tiny little green spots that are growing. So I don't think the plant is a total loss, but there are places where I'm going to have to do a lot of removal of yellowing, unhappy leaves. And I think what happened was actually the plant was fine while I was gone, and then I came back. I think it's the same problem with the Cebu Blue, honestly, that I came back, I turned on the heat, and I didn't put water in them right away, so that they dried out very quickly. And that's where the real damage occurred. But yeah, I'd say I've got some pretty nice growth in this Syngonium, and then some of it is a little bit lacking. But we'll get it taken care of. We'll make it a beautiful plant. And from here, if I don't show you how kind of wonky it looks hanging down, but if you just see this part, it's looking quite nice, I would say. All right, so now it's time for our last plant. This is gonna be such a battle to show you. I'm excited to show you. It's just, excuse me, I woke up at 6 this morning. I couldn't fall asleep last night. My body is exhausted. It's been the last week I haven't been sleeping well. So my body's exhausted. My bags under my eyes are bigger than ever. Life is difficult sometimes. I really shouldn't complain. My life is not difficult at all. And maybe before I even show you this plant. Yeah, my life is not difficult. in the grand scheme of things. Sure, it'd be nice to be a little bit more financially stable. I'm not really, but I have a roof over my head, and I have food, and I can afford to have a dog and a cat. Just barely, but I can do it. I can't afford to keep these plants. So when I say it would be nice to be a little more financially stable, I could also make different decisions that would make that easier. But it's been a tough year in this country. It's been a tough few weeks. It's been a tough year. And I know that in a lot of ways I'm very lucky and I'm very privileged. And I really don't have much to complain about. So when I complain about the bags under my eyes and not sleeping well, those are my biggest complaints in this world right now. I'm not doing too badly. Sometimes it feels a little bit vain and a little bit ridiculous that I'm sitting here yapping at you about my houseplants when there's so much worse stuff happening in the world, so much more serious stuff that should have some attention. But then I try to remind myself that we also have to have beauty in the world. And even in the hardest of times, one of the things I've really learned from my students, or have tried to learn from my students, is just how happy and cheery they can be, even in the face of all the hardships they face, that they come to class with so much joy. Most of the time, all the time, basically. It's very rare for them to not come to class and be joyful and happy and just positive and have a positive outlook. So, yeah. Anyway, while it feels a little bit silly and vacuous to talk about houseplants when it feels like the world is burning around us, and I'm talking about just being an immigrant in the United States, but there's so many other things I could be talking about. You know, my mom's family is from Ukraine. I could be talking to you about the war in Ukraine right now and the fact that... Anyway, let's not talk about these things. Let's get back to being vacuous and bringing some beauty into this world by letting me show you Sideshow Bob. So Sideshow Bob, as I call him, this is my only plant with a name. But Sideshow Bob is so called because the shadow cast by the leaves looks like the character from The Simpsons when in the... Anyway, yeah, it looks like the character from The Simpsons. So Sideshow Bob, when I first got back, was looking very sad. Sideshow Bob is another very, very, very thirsty plant that I usually have to water about twice a week when the heat is on, and I was gone for 3 weeks and no one put any water in. So he was looking very sad, very floppy. His leaves were a very dull, kind of a silvery gray color, not this nice bright green. But look at Sideshow Bob now. He's full of life, full of energy. His leaves are nice and perky. They're a nice bright green color. He's my baby plant. He's probably my prize. I know he's just a bird nest fern, but he's probably my prize plant. Just because of how crazy and wild he is. Anyway, so there's Sideshow Bob. I'm going to put him aside and wrap up this video because I've been yammering at you for long enough now. So yeah. Oh, Sideshow Bob did some nice things to my hair. Let me be vain for a moment. So I'm being vacuous and now I'm being vain. It's lovely. So yeah, that's today's video. It's just a follow-up on how my plants are doing. This is Plantastrophy part 2. Plantastrophy or not, part 2. And I'd say, on the whole, definitely not a plantastrophe. The majority of my plants were doing fine before, and they're still doing fine now. A lot of the ones I showed you just needed some water, and they perked up. A lot of the ones that I've showed you that were a little more tragic than just needing water and perking up, like the alocasias and the cat whisker, Maranta. Well, the alocasias will be fine, I assume. They just need to start from corm again. The cat whisker Maranta may be a total loss. The red stripe Aglaonema may be a total loss. The Musa Florida variegata is probably a total loss. But most other things just need a little more TLC, a little more time, a little more TLC, and they'll be fine, probably. So all in all, I'd say I lost 2, genuinely lost 3 plants that weren't already lost prior to me leaving. Over a period of 3 weeks with no care for my plants, I'd say losing 3 plants is not bad. So, yeah. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you thought it was kind of fun and interesting to see the difference, and to also talk about what kinds of things I did to rehab my plants, and also to talk about the fact that sometimes the damage is not visible right away. Sometimes it takes a little while for the damage to show up. And yeah, like I said, I hope you like this video. I hope you enjoy this video. If you did, please hit the like button. If you like my content, please go ahead and subscribe. And I will see you in the next video. Have a great day. Bye.